addiction is. I'll be looking for labels, I ain't looking for love.
For anybody who has faced betrayal and can feel and understand what Lewis is going through, Dr. Jen Berman, who is a psychotherapist in Los Angeles.
Psychologist Jen Berman is a relationship therapist.
Good morning, Matt.
Jen Berman is a therapist and also the author of a book called A to Z Guide to Raising Happy, Confident Kids.
Jen Berman is a licensed therapist specializing in body image disorders.
I want to introduce psychotherapist Dr. Jen Berman, who's in our audience today and an expert on self-esteem issues.
Psychologist Dr. Jen Berman. Good morning.
I'm Dr. Jen Berman. As a Beverly Hills psychotherapist, I specialize in treating addictions based on lies. Give me 21 days and I'll help uncover the truth behind your addiction.
What's the bottom line message that we want to say with these parties with our kids?
Parenting is not a competitive sport. Don't start to try to keep up with the Joneses, and make sure that you really focus on what's important. It's about the family, the friends, and the connection, not about the goodie bags, the entertainment, and the gifts. If your doctor was giving you a surgery and said, I'm going to do the surgery, but there's a 95 to 99% chance you're going to die, you wouldn't do it. Why would you go on a diet? The deprivation is a setup for overeating and binging.
Right, and you also say listen to your body signals. What are some of the signals you should be taking as cues?
I love the hunger scale. The hunger scale is a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being the most hungry you've ever been, just absolutely ravenous, 10 being so full your stomach could burst like Thanksgiving full,
right.
5 being neutral. You want to eat when you're a 3, which is solid, not too hungry, and stop when you're a 5 or 6, which is satisfied, not full. That's really honoring your body.
This society is sending a message to girls in particular that their value is being beautiful, being thin, and being hot. And we really don't need our 5-year-old girls to think that that's what they are about, or even our teenage girls, because as parents, our job is to teach our kids what their purpose and their passion in life is. That is the best inoculation against poor self-esteem that a parent can give their child.
TV culturally conditions girls to hate their bodies. And what we know is that there's a direct correlation between media exposure and eating disorder symptoms. In Fiji, after 38 months of bringing in Western TV, 74% of girls reported feeling too fat, 62% reported going on diets, and the rates of eating disorders went up 5 times. So it's important that parents are aware of this issue.
So they want to look like these girls that they idolize on television.
It's contagious, unfortunately.
Does that take the stigma out of this? Because it used to be that online dating was just the next step after placing a personal ad in the newspaper.
I really think there is very little stigma, if any, at this point, especially in the major cities. A lot of the time now, singles don't go straight to, their boobie and say, hey, could you set me up, or to the bar on the corner. They go straight to their computer. If you have a computer and you're single, you're probably online.
Congratulations. You've come a long way. We've watched an unbelievable metamorphosis in front of our very eyes. You've had the courage to look at yourselves in ways that most people never will in a lifetime. And money can't buy you that. No. It really can't.
It can't.
But nevertheless, this is a competition.
One of the things that really concerned us was that after you got back, I don't think there's one of you that wasn't wiped out. And when Jen and Amanda came to the house, they came to take you out, but instead you chose to stay in bed.
I wasn't up to going.
But I also don't think there was anyone who felt good.
I don't like to do things on other people's time all the time.
But I think it's important for you to take it in.
Nobody ever says anything.
I'm saying something to you.
The key for you is turning this from being a victim of abuse to being a survivor of abuse, and being okay with that. It doesn't mean that what he did to you is okay, because it is anything but okay, but you can be okay.
I'm supposed to be the person that fixes everybody's owies.
But you can protect him from all the pain in the world, and even though he's gone through something that is so devastating, it doesn't mean that he'll be protected from pain from now on. There's certain normal developmental pains he's going to have to experience, and he'll need your support going through those.
Annie is closer to death than even she realizes. Everyone here has done things that enabled her.
I feel like the things that I thought were positive about our relationship, a lot of them maybe really weren't, and if I had known, I wouldn't have done it.
No one here is responsible for Annie's eating disorder, and it's important that you understand that only Annie is responsible for her eating disorder.
Boys and girls tend to use drugs for different reasons. Boys tend to use drugs to get a rush, to get a high, but girls tend to use drugs to escape, which really speaks to how important it is for parents to focus on their daughter's self-esteem so that they don't need to escape. Antonia needs a second job. She needs it so that she can stay out of the stores and actually make some more money. There's so many myths about depression that it's really common for someone to not think they're depressed when they actually are depressed. If you're depressed and you don't know it, you're just going to act it out. And you act it out by shopping. You act it out by doing things to avoid feeling your feelings. So this is an opportunity for you to actually feel your feelings that you've been avoiding for a really long time. If something's wrong, we can fix it. Well, right now we have the perfect storm of events. We have a terrible economy. We have workers working longer and longer hours. We have a total lack of separation between home and work. We can be reached on our Blackberries, our cell phones around the clock.
That's
and
true.
also we're in a culture where, unfortunately, pop psychology has taught people to never feel embarrassed.
Picture for us, will you, Thanksgiving at the Chapman house. How's this going to be? How's a kiss and make up with father and son going to go?
I gotta say, I could get a full-time job off this family at Thanksgiving dinner alone. I mean, there's so much work to be done between these two. There's been a real trend in moving from the idea of girl power to girl sexual power, and that's a terrible thing for our daughters. And the idea is that we're telling our daughters that where their value is in attracting men. Our girls are bombarded with images of sex that are devoid of emotion, connection, and love, and that is really scary.
We just heard Bianca say on camera that according to published reports, this was the response from the people over at Calvin Klein to their ad. They're saying that basically they are appealing to their target demographic.
Apparently their target demographic is teenage girls who like foursomes. That's a very small demographic, if you ask me. A study came out by Penn State recently that looked at how people perceive men that cry and women that cry. And women are judged in a much more harsh fashion. And I think Oprah's tears were very appropriate. And the study even revealed less is better, that we want to see people get teary-eyed. We don't want to see them sobbing like Ellen did. It feels like we're witnessing a very private moment when someone gets that out of control. And I think it's very hard to have empathy for someone like Heather Mills. Boo-hoo, I want my $500 million. Whenever your boyfriend has come up, you've gotten very defensive about him. And when asked about his age, you've lied. How old is he really?
I do not feel comfortable talking about it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna venture to say you are not comfortable with the age difference between you and your boyfriend.
No, not at all.
I think that that in and of itself is worth you re-examining, because you should never be in a situation where you are this ashamed of someone who is this significant in your life. I am determined to make sure that they get the help that they want and that they need. You came from a family where you got a lot of affection, and you need that so desperately, and you have not gotten that. And you haven't been taught to express it, you haven't been taught to ask for it, you've been taught to fight, you've been taught to do karate, to be in the military. You haven't been taught to simply turn to your wife and say, I love you. The two of you need to do work on this marriage. Luis, you have essentially been orphaned. Look at this picture. This woman is no longer your mother. She has sold you out for her own pathetic needs to have a man by her side. You are going to have to grieve the loss of your relationship with your mother. That is such a traumatic betrayal that it would be almost impossible for you to have a relationship with her at this point. You are going to have to grieve that loss, and I really recommend that you get some professional counseling. It's very important for women, especially younger women, to understand that it is never a woman's fault when a man hits her. Acting can't be a child's whole life. It's way too much pressure, and a child will crack. It makes a lot of sense that Macaulay Culkin got married so young, because he had no family. He was emancipated. He was not on good terms with either of his parents, so he was seeking out to create his own family. A lot of the time when actors are on sets or are traveling, they have multiple doctors, and one doctor isn't doing all the prescribing, and sometimes people just don't realize that certain drugs can't mix.
The life of Mrs. Tom Cruise is a mystery.
We're all constantly wondering, like, is she being held captive in that house? Does she really believe in Scientology? It's very hard to know.
She's cool, I like her. Yeah, at first I was like, what? You know, but now I'm just like, all right, you might be able to do a little something, something.
You know, Dr. Jen always talked about, like, your true self, and I really feel like I found my true self.
I thought Dr. Jen was wonderful. I mean, every issue, she nailed it on the money.
The three of you just saved my life, literally. And I don't think I could possibly thank you enough for that, because I really believe that.
Thank you for letting us.
I haven't seen him like this ever, and you guys come in here and you help them and help my sister and help me and figure us out, not even knowing us, and just by a picture, and you've helped us out so much. It's like you're angels.